Welcome to Transform, Ignite, Disrupt, bringing you interviews and insights covering proven practical strategies to unlock your company's innovation potential. Here's your host, Stephen L. Blue.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Transform, Ignite, and Disrupt. Now, remember, what I've been saying all along is you have to transform your organization first, and then and only then can you ignite innovation inside the company, which once you've transformed it, you can. And then after you've ignited innovation, well, you got to do something with it. You can't bring your same old tired marketing clothes to the same market you've been doing all along, so you have to disrupt the market with disruptive marketing. And so that's the key. Those are the key issues that you have to think about in transforming, igniting, and disrupting. Now, in previous episodes, we talked about core ID services that totally disrupted the identity theft market. And then we talked about tropical smoothies, which, this is the point I made in the last podcast was, you don't have to invent the next new thing. Just take the same old, tired old thing that's been done forever the same way by the same people and just bring it some new, fresh, innovative ideas and leadership practices, and you can totally disrupt an industry. And what we're going to talk about today, and what you're going to hear about today, is a League of Extraordinary interview I did a while back with someone who's totally disrupted the hair club, I don't mean the hair club, the hair replacement industry. Now, Roxanne Chihos just moved in and looked at all of the other industry players and said, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a way to help people in hair replacement. There's got to be a way to do it better, faster, cheaper, and more effectively. And as you'll hear in the podcast, when you listen to her, I call it the Mayo Clinic of the hair replacement industry, because 86% of their clients fly into Minneapolis to have the procedure done. So they've been very, very successful. But when you listen to her, I want you to listen very closely to the four-letter word called culture. Okay, it's not a four-letter word, it's 7 or whatever it is. But, a lot of CEOs think culture is the squishy, free pizza and beer for lunch crowd that's only considered and practiced by the HR weenies. That's not the case at all. As you'll find out in our interview with Roxanne, she was really interested in creating a culture that was based on passion and hiring people who were excited about what they had to offer, what the company had to offer, and what they could offer to the company too. So if you pay special attention, she spends a lot of time on culture, and you'll hear in a lot of these podcasts common themes, especially in the League of Extraordinary CEOs that I've interviewed, common themes that permeate everything all of them do. And one of the common themes is culture. Another common theme is hiring practices. As Jedediah Ua says, you have to be very careful about how you hire. You have to be really cognizant of if you have someone that doesn't belong on the bus, as they say in Built to Last, you need to get them off the bus right away. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll look forward to talking with you in a couple of weeks in the next podcast.
Well, hey, it's good to talk to you, Roxanne. I won't bore you with any of the details about me or my column that you already know about. I assume someone brought you up to speed on what the column is all about and what I do and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, and I was excited to talk with you. I think it's great. There's a lot of times, you can read about different people.
Yeah, probably the most famous one I've done is Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow, and he's not far from, you're in Minnesota, right?
Yep. He actually, funny that you mentioned him, he is best friends with my best friend's brother. So he has been around for a long time, and she had told me, he's had some challenges, and I think he's pretty honest with his addiction challenges and stuff, and it's inspiring to see him be so successful.
Oh, I know, and he's a really funny guy. Mm-hmm. When I first started talking, first started doing the interview, he told me, he said, "I'm afraid of men in suits." I said, "Well, Mike, what does that mean?" He said, "Yeah." And so he took me through the whole thing of how all these men in suits tried to screw him when he was, talking to the investment bankers and private equity guys and all that kind of stuff when he started up the company. And he's a really funny guy. And he directed me to a website, a YouTube collection of MyPillow bloopers.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and if you have nothing to do on a Friday night sometime or Sunday morning, it's really funny to see. There's probably a half a dozen, maybe a dozen amount of him, kind of blooping along. It's really quite entertaining.
I'm going to have to check that out. He reminds me a lot of when I first started at the Hair Club for Men, like years ago. He reminds me a lot of Cy Sperling, because if you remember his commercials, he was the first person that kind of went on TV with a hair replacement option for somebody and took his hair off and said, no, I'm not only the president, I'm also a client. And, just kind of sort of low budget commercials, real people, this is a great idea and I'm going to make successful. And Mike kind of reminds me of him, just a regular guy that had a great idea.
Yeah, he really is. And I told him, I said, don't ever hire anybody to do your commercials, because you're the best pitch man you could ever have. Because like what you just said, Roxanne, it's very genuine, and most people can identify with him.
Yep, trusting. He builds trust.
Yeah. Well, I've been looking over your background, and I got a lot of great questions. I mean, you have a fascinating background. One of the things that really piqued my interest, well, it all piqued my interest. One thing that piqued my interest is when you took a sabbatical, for lack of a better word, to hit, 18 countries in 36 months?
Yeah, it is definitely what I call sort of a claim to fame in my world. I really loved that opportunity, and it was scary. And I think it really helped me for where I'm at today, because when you are on a finite income and you have tons of opportunity ahead of you and tons of challenges ahead of you, and you're with your partner who, for better or worse, you're the only one that you're traveling with together. So we really need to figure out how to build a team and identify people's strengths. And, we really had the opportunity to spend some quality time with people around the world. And sometimes I think it was the best way for me to learn how to communicate with pretty much anybody for any reason, because there was every reason why you needed to communicate, and there were so many challenges with it. But it was so rewarding that, our goal is to take up that lifestyle when we retire, and whenever we can afford to do that, because it was such an amazing time in our lives that it stimulated every single sort of nerve that you had all the time. And to have that experience really helped me grow and just feel part of the world and have some goals and some vision, versus kind of being on that treadmill of work, college work, master's work. And all of a sudden this whole experience just opened up opportunities to see and to identify with other people and how they live, and really realize how lucky we are, how fortunate we are, as well as, there are some things maybe we're doing wrong, like, spending too much money or going out or doing things that are, not necessarily beneficial. You don't really get a lot of excitement out of. And we've sort of changed our lifestyle as a couple. We try to travel to a third world country or a second world country twice a year, just to kind of ground ourselves a little bit. That, a lot of stuff happens in the United States that we, politically can talk about and complain about, but we still have tons of opportunity here, more so than probably anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I travel all over the world, about 100,000 miles a year, and of course in developed countries too, but a lot of third world countries. I do a lot of business in South Africa, and I do a lot of business in Egypt. I do a lot of business in China, and all over South America. So I know exactly what you mean by, it's easy to complain about what's going on in our country if you've never really spent any time in places where there really are things to complain about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our favorite destination sort of right now is Southeast Asia. We are smitten with Thailand, India, Vietnam, Cambodia. We've spent time in China and South America and Africa as well. But it just seems like there's enough culture in that area of the world to make you feel like you're really learning something every single day, and enough challenges to help you have a vacation where you feel stimulated. But then there also seems to have that little bit of comfort knowing that there's hospitals and there's healthcare and someone speaks a little bit of English somewhere.
Yeah. Well, listen, I noticed that, was it that beauty college that you worked at for so many years?
Yeah.
Where is it? I see they just closed their doors a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of days ago, yeah. It was very unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's, I had the fortunate, people ask me how I feel about it, and I sort of have mixed reviews because I was fortunate enough to be part of the team that was growing the schools. So when I started, there were 6 or 7 campuses. When I left there were 90. So I was on a completely different track. I led the team to have the highest enrollment of Regency Beauty Institute over 50 years. So I left at a really great time. And it's hard for me to sort of see 4 years later an entire business sort of collapse. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I think they identified some of the external reasons. I'm sure there were internal reasons as well. But it was such a great experience to be part of a company that was growing so quickly. And I think that's really why I'm here today at Good Look Inc. My background in that company was to help lead the expansion, and my team was responsible for generating the revenue to do that. And then I was asked by the private equity firm that is partnered with me in Good Look Inc. to do the same thing here. So I get the chance to redo it my way, which is great.
Well, that's something I always tell my employees. I'm only 2 decisions away from putting this. I have a small company too, and I'm only 2 decisions away from putting us out of business. And of course, cash is king in any company. And I read somewhere that one of the problems at the beauty school was that they ran out of cash, and boy, that'll kill you faster than anything.
Yeah, and the original CEO of the company, Hayes Matson, had received, if I remember correctly, the largest amount of capital expenditure in the state of Minnesota to grow the business, and then hired on a team. And I was one of those people on that team to help build the organization. So I think what happened was just with the different regulations that were coming out and some changes in for-profit education and some attitudinal changes about the cosmetology and beauty industry really sort of negatively impacted that industry.
Yeah, and that could come out of nowhere. It can just blindside you, no matter how diligent you are, and no matter how careful you are about scanning the environment. Things can happen. I happen to be in the railroad supply industry, and almost out of nowhere in the last couple of years, coal has taken a huge dive in usage and popularity and all that kind of stuff, and that's greatly affected my top line, and I never saw it coming, and there wasn't a thing I could have done about it.
Yeah.
So tell me about your time at. This is a fascinating concept of Good Look Inc. Who would have ever thunk of that? Tell us about how that came about, and it's very, very. I love it because it's very, very unconventional.
Yeah, so I joined the company in August of last year, and the company started in 2009. And the person who helped create our process here at Good Look Inc. is with the organization. So I know a lot about the history. The original founder had this procedure done from a competitor like in 2007, and the results were marginal at best. So he contracted and looked for a artist who might be able to do something similar, and interviewed a bunch of people and ended up with Leah Match, who works for me today. And they spent about 2 years really creating the process and getting it right, because the ultimate goal for Good Look Inc. is to have the best results in the industry. And that's something that we put ahead of anything, because this is someone's life. It's permanent. We want them to look their very best. We want people to not even notice it, right? If we do our job well, nobody even notices that anybody had anything done, and they think it's 100% natural. And over time, the business grew. We got featured on Good Morning America. We started attracting people from all over the world, and as of today, we have attracted people from 29 different countries. In fact, in the past year, we had somebody fly in from Sweden that they were adopting a baby here in Minnesota, and they said, "Hey, I saw you. Can I get it done? I'm going to be here for 2 weeks. Do you have time for me?" And it's really interesting to know that this brand has become so international. As you mentioned, we're located in Minneapolis, and about 85% of our customers fly in to have the procedure done from everywhere.
Amazing. It's like the Mayo Clinic of your industry.
Kind of. We just recently opened an office in LA. So on September 6th, we opened our first location outside of Minneapolis. And our goal is to get into areas where our customers come from, so they don't have to travel here if they don't want to. And we really want to build a national and global company with locations throughout the world. So our goal is to make sure that we have a a solid business model, which we're confident we do, and then continue to build locations over the next 5 years.
That's a big challenge.
Exciting.
Well, it has to, because it's going to take a lot of energy to make that happen. And if it's kind of boring, who could possibly generate that kind of energy?
Right. Well, I sort of missed that when I was at Regency. We were opening 20 locations a month, a year. So, we were constantly building and growing, and there's this momentum or inertia that follows that to say, here's another location, here's another location, here's another customer. And to open a location and be successful right off the bat gives me great confidence that we just need to be where our customers are.
Yeah, that seems pretty simplistic, but I suspect your process of identifying where your customers are is a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, yes and no. I have all of our data from our lead generation, and we can see where I personally buy all the plane tickets for people to come up, so I know where I'm buying them from. So I have some anecdotal information. I have some results and information. We have obviously statistics all over the place about how many people live there and what our demographic is. But for us, it's about ease of getting into the location. This is a virtually a one-time opportunity for someone. So they'll come into our location one time. They might come back a year later for a touch-up or an enhancement if they choose to. So they're not coming every single day. So location, physical location in a city isn't as important as, where we are in that city. Just in general, just are we in that area?
So you had two very successful situations where you phenomenally grew the businesses. And what would you say, if you were to say something to the readers, who will be mostly CEO types, because you're obviously not the garden variety CEO, what would you say is the secret sauce to your success with two vastly different industries, but pretty similar growth and success stories?
For me, it goes down to passion and creating a culture that is based on passion, based on hiring people who are excited about what you have to offer, people who see the value and the benefit. So, for example, some of our most successful technicians that do this, they're artists. They want to help people. And, focusing completely on the customer. We created a new mission when I started in August, which was really to be the world's most trusted scalp micropigmentation company and making people feel and look great. And the reason why we took something so simple like that, because this is all about feeling good about what we do and having a customer feel good about coming here. And I think when you have that combination, we're lucky. We get to look at reviews every single day. I get a 5-star review 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. And to know that you made someone that happy in 6 hours that kind of changed their life, it's really rewarding. And if I can attract people who want to feel that way about what they do every day, it's win-win for everybody.
Yeah, you just don't want somebody who's looking for a job. You want somebody that's on a mission.
Yeah, this isn't for somebody who's just looking for a job. In the beauty industry, I think, although the roles are different, the result is the feeling, the culture is about the same, between the Hair Club for Men, at Life Touch, at Regency Beauty Institute, even at Active Style and at Good Looking. This is really, business to consumer, really helping people feel good or improve their lives. And when you have that ability to do so, your highs are really high. And when somebody isn't happy, your lows are, the whole organization kind of stops. Like, what happened? And we fix it. And when you have passionate people who are on the same wavelength, nobody wants a bad review. Everyone wants to fix it. And that's great. That really helps to make sure that we're providing a good service to somebody.
Well, that's you brought up the C word, culture. When I talk to other CEOs and I tell them the most important thing you can do is build an empowering culture, they say, huh? I thought the most important thing I could do is buy machine tools or, buy companies, launch products. No, none of that means a darn thing if you don't have the kind of culture that facilitates all that.
Right. I believe in a culture where people can. I believe in a culture where people can freely communicate their frustrations appropriately, communicate their excitement, and really and be part of the process. So if I have a team of people that are like, hey, let's try this, or let's try that, or let me be part of this, or maybe I'll say, hey, this customer had some concerns. Let me call them. I'll talk to them. Instead of being afraid, wanting to be part of it and wanting to be part of something bigger. And I feel like as I build that, when I was at Regency, it was just me when I started. I built that up to around 120 people and my goal was to hire cosmetologists who really believed in the industry, and teach them how to sell. So that's what I did. And when you have a lot of people that are in that industry that want to have a career and they feel excited about it, they can only exude that passion over the phone. Same thing at Good Look Inc. If I surround myself in people who either have had a hair loss problem or have worked in the hair loss industry or the beauty industry and really want the opportunity to help people and feel good about it, it's great. We really have, you love to come to work every day. Yeah, you love to come to work every day. You do. Yeah.
How do you screen people? I mean, I know you don't say, okay, here's our culture and here's what we believe in. What do you believe in? Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I believe in. I'm sure you have a way to get at that so you really understand how they feel about it. How do you screen for that?
Yep. So I actually interview everybody. I still interview everybody that comes into the organization. And one of my favorite questions to ask is, tell me why if you had experience in this industry or a similar industry, tell me why you got into it. So they usually tell me, I like this. But the ones that say, I love to help people, and I really love it when people look and feel good and that I can do it. If they say that, that's a home run to me, because that means they're being honest with me and they're really, you can usually tell if they're being passionate about that. I ask them, what do they love about it? Tell me about a customer that you had that you remember today, that you remember changing their life. Tell me about that person. And if they can, talk to me about that with positive energy, and that's perfect.
Yeah, those are great questions to get at how they feel about the kind of culture that you want. We do the same thing in my company. We don't just say, here's our mission statement. Do you agree with it? Oh, of course they do. We ask them open-ended questions about, what's the best place you ever worked at and why? Then we just shut up and listen.
Mm-hmm. One of the things when we worked as a team to create the mission, and one of the things that I wanted to share with the team is that, by helping people look and feel great, that means that when they walk in here, they should feel amazing. They should feel like $1 million. Even if they don't choose to go with Good Look Inc., when they leave here, they need to feel like $1 million. We never want someone to feel bad about not choosing our organization, but we want them to be advocates for other people for us. So, helping them look is one thing and helping them feel is another. And when I think about customers, we think about our whole team. So it's not just people that are paying us, it's people that I'm paying and that we're working together with. And if we have that respect for each other, it ends up being a really great place to work.
Sounds great. Where do I sign up?
You can sign up anytime. I'm taking orders right now.
Great. Well, listen, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a reporter. But any good reporter or journalist, the last question they will ask, as you know, will be, is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
I think one of the things that would be kind of fun to talk about is just the hair loss industry in itself, and maybe not even hair loss industry. Maybe it's just people feeling good about themselves and things that people do. And, one of the people always ask me, like, how did you get started at the Hair Club for Men? The Hair Club for Men can be funny. There's a lot of jokes around it. There's a lot of people that make fun of it. And even when I first interviewed, I thought, what? I did not. It was a blind ad. It wasn't the Hair Club for Men. I said, I didn't apply to the Hair Club for Men. Yeah. And they said, yes, you did. Here's where you sent your resume. And I said, oh, yeah, I guess I did. And, but what I found is that when you work with people who are feeling maybe not so confident about how they look and you're able to provide a solution for them, it's extremely rewarding. And I think over time, any organization that can do that can win, and it feels good. And so I would just say that if you have an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives, I would take it because it's rewarding.
That's a really excellent point. My company makes all kinds of products that go on railroad locomotives and rail cars and all that kind of pretty boring stuff in general, and you're always, trying to go, let's have a mission statement that people can really rally around and be excited about and feel good about coming to work, and it's kind of hard to do that when you're making dumb metal and plastic parts. But in the last couple of years, we moved into a high technology line of products that save roadway workers' lives. believe it or not, 10 to 12 people still get killed that are working on the tracks every year because they don't know the train's not supposed to be there, but it is, and they don't know it's coming. They can't hear it, they can't see it, and they get killed tragically. So we invented a product that absolutely eliminates that, and you'd be amazed at the difference when we morphed into, we're a company that makes products that save lives, and people sort of, they get excited about that.
Yeah, did you ever read that, the book, or did you hear about the book, The Habit?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So I'm trying to remember the gist of it, but I'll tell you what I remember, which makes sense, is that there was a guy, a CEO, and he wanted to focus on safety only in his organization. And so once he focused on safety only, and he held people to very rigorous safety standards, like if you have a hangnail, I want to hear about it. And if you have all these things, because they had all these problems. And he got the organization really focused on safety, one thing, safety. And their organization turnover decreased, revenues increased, bottom line profit increased, and it was just by focusing on one thing, not anything else, just one thing that was sort of a ripple effect in the organization. And so I think about that, and I think about, okay, what's the one thing that I can think about here, I could look Inc. that's going to make enough difference over time versus can I focus on 100 things? Yeah, I sure can. Or can I focus on one thing really, really well? And which one is that will make a difference? And that habit reminds me of what you just said, changing lives, or saving lives. So if you are focused on saving lives as an organization, everything you do becomes important.
Exactly right. I'm going to get that, the habit, HABIT, is that what it is?
Yeah, the habit.
Yeah, I'm going to get that. That's an intriguing concept to me. Well, did I miss anything, Roxanne? Did we pretty much cover the waterfront?
I think we covered it.
All right. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And anytime you think you have something that is important that should be updated, let me know about it. And just because we talked today doesn't mean we can't ever talk again.
Oh, I hope so. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's a phenomenal story you got. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Transform, Ignite, Disrupt. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit StephenLBlue.com.